Difficulty is a, if you pardon the pun, particularly difficult area to develop for in gaming because it's entirely subjective for each person, and being too difficult or easy is a problem that will turn people off. Everyone's at a different level playing games, so most developers tend to just aim the difficulty for the average of the game's target audience, which is a fine, albeit clunky way of going about it. To be able to push every player to challenge themselves and use what is a hard and easy time for them in particular to base its difficulty around would be an impressive, though testing challenge. And there isn't a game that's really managed to do so perfectly.
I'm just kidding, there is. It's called Icarus Uprising. You read the title.
Among the countless aspects Uprising nails as a game, it handles difficulty sublimely. From its structure, response to failure, rewards for success, and coyly egging on players to keep challenging themselves, the machine of player satisfaction is as well-oiled as it is unobtrusive, making sure playing on any difficulty feels great, and every player is rewarded for the effort they put into the experience.
The first thing to mention talking about this game's difficulty is how wholly inclusive it is, providing a satisfying experience for someone at any skill level.
Instead of just an easy mode or a hard mode or both, you can pinpoint the difficulty level best suited to you on the game's so-called Fiend's Cauldron from a total of 91 variants, ranging from the pathetically easy 0.0 to the ruthlessly challenging 9.0. Plus, when you die, the difficulty automatically drops, such that anyone can complete any level starting at any difficulty. Eventually. And it's clear effort has gone into making whatever you end up completing a fairly fulfilling experience, as difficulty doesn't just affect enemy damage or firing patterns, but it affects pretty much everything. How many enemies you face, what types, how many hits they can take, how many hits you can take, and even their AI. Assuring whatever level you deem yourself to be at, you still feel like a one-man army destroying the forces of the gods for the sake of all that is pure and holy. This mentality is also important for the gradient of the difficulty curve. The gameplay is fairly complex, so you'd expect the adventure to start very easy and get much harder as it goes on. Instead, we're given a very shallow skill curve, which, as each level's difficulty can be chosen as and when you play each level, means most players will finish the game on a higher difficulty than they started. It's a very subtle way of making players think they're getting better at the game than they actually are, which just generally makes the whole experience feel more rewarding and fun. And as an even smaller point, the game's defined standard difficulty is 2.0, well on the easy side, which kinda makes you feel like a badass for delving into even the middling levels. And more importantly, ensures the majority of players will finish the game on a higher difficulty. The weapons system is genius also. Any playthrough of the game will produce a bunch of the game's well-designed and interesting weapons of the 8 weapon types based off various designs in the game. Of course, any veteran will know what's more important is the attributes, the individual stats associated with each one of each weapon. Therefore, instead of harder difficulties yielding different, better weapons, they yield the same weapons with better stats. Which means even a total beginner playing on the easiest version of each level will still constantly be finding and unlocking new stuff, which is much nicer on a psychological level than having the cool looking weapons kept away because you suck too much at the game.
So cool. You've got a game that everyone can play and everyone can have a blast with at least the existence of higher difficulty levels to shut the purist crowd up. It's good. It's great. Better than great. It's pretty good. That's not better than great. Where Icarus Uprising starts getting truly brilliant is the mechanisms in place to gently push each player just out of their comfort zone.
See, humans, we're stupid and impulsive and self-sabotaging, and even knowing that playing on higher difficulties will ultimately be more fulfilling, most people, if given the choice, would take the easy option where there are no immediate downsides. So I introduce to you intensity gates, weapon fusion, and the true beauty of the Fiend's Cauldron. Because the Fiend's Cauldron doesn't just give you 91 difficulty levels, oh no, it sells them to you. While playing any level at 2.0 standard difficulty, it's free, but any deviation above or below, you have to pay. Going from 1.9 to 0.0, you can pay to make the game an utter cakewalk if you really can't be arsed. And from 2.1 to 9.0, you can gamble, paying for extra challenge with the opportunity to get extra reward.
But not gambling with money, no, this is gambling of hearts. Hearts are the currency of the game. It's basically gambling with money. You got it right the first time.
And if the dark elemental forces that have kept the casino industry afloat for centuries aren't enough, the game none so subtly pushes you into trying harder difficulties with a little try this box on the difficulty bar before each level. Intensity gates are the simplest idea I'll mention, but also kind of the most effective. As their name would imply, trying level above a certain intensity, the game's word for difficulty, will open these gates, leading to their not so secret extra areas. You're never told if a level will have an intensity gate or what its level will be, but you can't miss them in each level. and thus naturally playing it safe one level to pass an intensity gate with some goodies and extras you could have accessed if you'd set the difficulty just a tad higher is the impetus most people need to really push yourself. Finally, weapon fusion is mostly used as a way to push players into mixing up their playstyle throughout, but as fused weapons often have higher stats, it's a nice way to give you the confidence to push that difficulty even further.
And the final piece of the puzzle is the ways in which the game rewards you for going beyond your own perceived capabilities.
Intensity gates are fairly unassuming and so only bother players if the difficulty they're playing on is just below what's required to open the gate, but inside the gates themselves all sorts of goodies and treats, bits of dialogue and even classic NES references. A great way of showing skilled players a fun time, without starting serious FOMO for players less experienced with the game. Pushing yourself also might open various prizes in the treasure hunt too, which can be a fun little surprise, and naturally that combined with the fact that winning on higher difficulties means big heart prizes which can buy the best weapons, the more you push yourself the easier it becomes to push yourself further, which creates a non-stop cycle of fun and reward. And lastly, I should mention again what happens after you die. Wow, that sounded really heavy. You respawn pretty much where you died, with all your abilities replenished, but the intensity bar slightly lowered. Most games either have death be this weird non-event, or force you to repeat large portions of the level, but this allows death to still be a very big deal without slowing down the gameplay at all. And not to mention, it ensures completing any level without dying once feels amazing.
So that's perfect difficulty, a system which feels catered to each player and allows any skill level to feel like they're enjoying the complete package of the game.
I'm not saying this is how every game should be, or even that every game should try to accomplish the goals with Difficulty Uprising sought to solve, but I think it's fair to say the days of the lives and continues are limited, or at least they definitely should be. Games like this, Shovel Knight and Rogue Legacy are proving they're a better path to take, dealing with difficulty, failure responses, and offering risk-reward setups to benefit those with more skill. But Uprising in particular is the only game I can name to offer a wholly inclusive system to deliver true satisfaction for players of any skill level. The intensity gates, weapons fusion, and Fiend's Cauldron gambling push players to be the best they can be, and the treasure hunt and response to death make sure anyone is well rewarded for pushing themselves with tougher goals to accomplish and then accomplishing those goals. It's easy to appreciate the graphics, characters, and story of such a game, but it's what's going on behind the scenes that makes the experience so golden in my eyes, and is what I'd call the best system of difficulty, reward, and satisfaction I've seen in a video game. Thanks for watching. Click above to see latest analysis video I did on Shovel Knight Plague of Shadows 2 years ago, and make sure to share, comment, and subscribe. Love y'all, keep being swell geezers.